For decades, we've been told that winter gardening is impossible without greenhouses, heaters, or high-tech setups. That once the frost sets in, the soil goes dormant, and we're left at the mercy of supermarket shelves until spring. But that's not the full story. Generations before us, homesteaders, pioneers, and even wartime families knew a different truth. They fed themselves year-round through the coldest months, using hardy, resilient crops that thrive when everything else fades. These were not luxury vegetables or delicate greens. They were survival staples, nutrient-dense, cold-resistant, and capable of growing even under snow cover. Today, we're diving deep into that forgotten knowledge to reveal 3 crops that can guarantee self-sufficiency through winter. These plants have proven their worth across centuries and climates, and when cultivated correctly, they can keep your pantry full and your soil alive while most gardens sit frozen and bare. True winter gardening starts with crops that work with nature, not against it. The biggest mistake modern gardeners make is trying to force summer habits into winter soil. Fertilizers, heat lamps, and constant watering work against the season's rhythm. But traditional growers understood that nature provides her own toolkit for survival. They chose crops that didn't just tolerate cold, they used it. Frost, when paired with the right plant, can actually sweeten flavors, deepen root storage, and improve nutrient density. This is the philosophy behind true winter gardening, growing what the season supports instead of fighting it. In the process, you not only harvest food when others can't, you also build soil that regenerates itself naturally through microbial activity that doesn't shut down in the cold. And this is where our first cold season champion steps in. Kale. It really proves that the toughest greens are indeed the most rewarding. You know, long before kale became a trendy superfood, it was actually a survival crop across northern Europe and the American frontier. When other vegetables failed under frost, kale thrived. It's fascinating, really, how the plant's cellular structure allows it to continue photosynthesizing at nearly freezing temperatures. In fact, a mild frost triggers a chemical response that converts starches into sugars, giving winter kale its distinctive sweetness and rich flavor. Quite remarkable, isn't it? Now, if you want to grow kale for winter self-sufficiency, timing is everything. You should start your seeds in mid to late summer, so the plants are well established by the time the first frost hits. Once temperatures dip, the growth slows, but it never stops, you see. You can continue harvesting leaves right through snow and ice, provided you don't strip the plant bare. Always leave several inner leaves to allow regrowth. For practical application, you might want to create a simple cold frame using reclaimed wood and clear plastic or glass. This structure acts as a mini greenhouse, protecting the plants from wind and heavy snow while capturing the day's warmth. With this low-cost system, you can harvest fresh greens deep into January without electricity or fertilizers, just soil, sunlight, and a little insulation. Quite a clever setup, really. Root vegetables. They truly hold the real secret to sustainable winter harvests. When the topsoil freezes, most gardeners assume their crops are done for the season. But, you see, beneath the surface lies one of nature's best cold storage systems. Root vegetables like carrots, parsnips and beets not only survive the frost, they thrive in it. Their sugars concentrate as temperatures drop, and their texture improves with the cold. It's quite the marvel of nature, don't you think? Traditional farmers often left their root crops in the ground through winter, covering the beds with a thick layer of straw, leaves or burlap. This natural insulation prevents the soil from freezing solid and creates a stable microclimate. When needed, they'd simply pull back the mulch, dig out what they needed, and recover the rest. It was a living pantry, accessible even under snow. To replicate this method, focus on deep, loose soil in autumn. Plant your roots early enough, around midsummer, so they reach full maturity before frost. Once they've bulked up, pile on 8 to 10 inches of mulch. You don't need to water much during winter, since the cold preserves moisture. When spring arrives, any roots left behind naturally decompose and enrich the soil, feeding the next cycle of crops without external fertilizers. The forgotten power of cold-hardy legumes completes the winter trio. Few people realize that peas, fava beans and winter lentils have been sustaining cold-climate communities for hundreds of years. These legumes don't just feed people, they feed the soil. By fixing nitrogen into the ground, they prepare it for heavy-feeding crops in spring. In essence, they turn your winter garden into a nutrient factory while still providing protein-rich food. Fava beans are the standout here. They germinate in cool soil, tolerate frost, and remain green even when snow threatens. Sown in late fall, they develop strong root systems before the deep freeze sets in. Come early spring, they surge with growth and produce early harvests when everything else is still dormant. For gardeners looking to become self-sufficient, the beauty of legumes is in their dual role. You harvest the pods for food, and then, well, you turn the spent plants back into the soil as green manure. This organic matter boosts soil fertility naturally, eliminating the need for chemical fertilizers. It's the same system used for centuries in monastic gardens and peasant farms across Europe, where land had to produce continuously without depleting itself. Building a year-round garden means, well, building resilience. These 3 crops, kale, roots and legumes, are more than just food sources, you know. They're the foundation of an ecosystem that works even when the temperature drops below freezing. By integrating them into your growing plan, you build redundancy and independence. While most modern systems rely on supply chains and synthetic additives, this method relies on biology and timing, things you can control directly with your hands and knowledge. And the benefits go beyond yield, honestly. A winter garden reduces pest populations, since many insects die off in cold months. It breaks disease cycles by keeping microbial activity consistent. It also prevents soil erosion and nutrient runoff that happens when fields lie barren. Every layer of mulch, every root left to rot, every sprout of cold-tolerant green adds to your soil's health and your own security. You don't need to be a farmer to use these techniques. A backyard bed, a few raised boxes, or even a small greenhouse can provide enough produce to feed a household. The secret is choosing the right plants and working with the rhythm of the season, not against it. The wisdom of winter gardening is a legacy worth reviving, really. The truth is, the idea that winter gardening is impossible was born out of convenience, not necessity. Generations before us thrived without fertilizers, climate control, or imports from thousands of miles away. They understood that survival and abundance came from observation, patience, and respect for natural cycles. If you start applying these principles, choosing cold-hardy crops, protecting your soil, and harvesting smartly, you'll rediscover what our ancestors already knew. Winter doesn't end the growing season. It transforms it. So, if this guide sparked ideas for your own garden or gave you a new perspective on sustainable growing, make sure to subscribe to Hydro Haven. Share this with anyone who's ready to break free from the myths of modern gardening and return to the timeless art of growing food that lasts through every season. The soil never sleeps, and neither should your self-sufficiency.